Hello, Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today, and I'm sharing this layout that I created with my Spiegelmom Scraps sequence and some Spiegelmom Scraps die cuts. If you shop at the store and you use the code Suzanna15, Suzanna with a Z and an A at the end, you can get 15% off. So this month over at Spiegelmom Scraps, we are featuring die cuts and sequins. And so I really wanted to scrap these pictures of it's actually a messenger conversation between one of my scrappy pals and I, and we often have a lot of miscommunication. It's funny how when you're writing text, how you can, and text is flying back and forth at the same time, how you can often not understand what you're saying to one another. And so I wanted to sort of reproduce the funniness of these conversations. And so I printed pictures, the pictures that we use. So that's my Facebook profile picture and then Simone's Facebook profile picture, and I just used a circle punch to punch those pictures out to reproduce the circles that are what you see in Messenger. And then I used the text talk die cut files, and I had to get rid of some of the cartoony dots that are in them because they were creating some funky shadows. So I just did that in Photoshop and then cut out the black images and then used the outline of those images to create backings for those words. So I used, you can see the heart speech bubbles, and then I flipped it and I did the white heart speech bubbles because I'm going to turn that into a giant shaker pocket. And then I did the LOL and the OMG, and those were just punctuations for the the conversation that we had. Now I only have the 6x8 pad from Simple Stories, and so I was able to piece that together to go all the way across the top of this 12x12 layout. And then I'm going to just put adhesive on the back of the black for those purple hearts up near my speech bubble there. And I have not journaled in this, but my intent is to journal over the pink there. Either that or I haven't quite decided. I may leave it as it is and do the journaling on the back of the page. And I do that frequently because sometimes I don't want the story that I want to tell to take away from the design element that I have on the front. Scrapbooking for me is not just telling stories, although that's the main purpose of scrapbooking for me. I do also like the design elements of it, and sometimes I feel like the journaling detracts from what I have created as my focal points in the story there. So I'm just cutting off those extra edges because they were longer than the paper needed to be, and now I want to work on this giant shaker pocket. So it's very difficult to see on the white. That I've just pulled off there is overhead projector. I forget what the name of it is. It's overhead projector paper. It's not paper, but that see-through sort of stuff. It's kind of like acetate. So I was able to cut that with my silhouette in the same outline as the white outline that I will then stick this on top of. So that's the cover of the shaker pocket that you can see there, and that white is the same outline that I want to stamp on as well. So I thought it was fun to have the giant shaker with the emojis, but I thought a fun way of adding a background to the shaker was I have these stamps that are from the dollar spot. They're actually the $3 dollar spot at Target, and then I have the roller stamp from the Simple Stories collection as well. So I wanted to alternate the roller stamp phrases and or designs with the the emoji stamps that I got from the dollar spot there. So I'm going to speed this up because it takes a little bit of time, and it's the same process from beginning to end, but basically I'm going to stamp with the roller stamp, then with this emoji stamp, then with the roller stamp, then with the emoji stamp, and just create a bit of a background to this. I could have done this all the way up to the top, but I wanted that white, and so I just wanted this to be at the bottom. And in a way, the sequins cover it, so it kind of gives you something to be forced to shake the shaker box for, so that you can see what's down at the bottom of the shaker pocket. So I'm just stamping this using VersaFine ink and Then I'm going to go in with some of my Jane Davenport mermaid markers, the yellow for the emojis, and then I think I used a pink to just put in the little tongues and the red hearts in the eyes of this. So there's the yellow. I just tested it on the scrap paper, and just to add a little bit of added color to the shaker pocket. And because it is a background and there are going to be sequins that cover it, I really wasn't worried about being absolutely specific and staying in the lines of this giant shaker pocket. So I am then going to use my Gotta Love Emojis sequence. There you go. You see me pouring it down there, mix from Spiegelmom Scraps, and those are going to be my main sequence. Now, the thing with these sequences is that I often borrow from one. What's that saying? You got to beg from Paul to borrow from Judy, or something along those lines. I'll get it right one day. So I borrowed giant pink sequences. I remember this specifically for some project that I worked on, and I wanted a little bit more pink in there. So I raided my On Pointe collection, which has lots of pink in their smaller ones, which was perfect, as well as the Girly Glitter collection, which had the same big ones that's in the Gotta Love Emojis, just to add a little bit more pink there. And so then I'm going to put my Scotch tacky glue on those black borders and just stick that down on top of the pocket. Now, some of the lines in that black border are really thin, so it didn't leave me room for a lot of adhesive. And you'll see in a minute that some of those sequences, I shake out of there. And so I've got to do a better job of getting glue coverage on this. And I'll have to do that later on as well. It's tough to get a thick enough amount of glue and not have it be too thick as well that you can see that glue seeping through to the other side of the shaker pocket there. So this was actually the main inspiration of this layout, was these text die cuts, text talk digital die cuts, which you can download from free from the Spiegelmom Scrap store, and I'll link that the store in the description box down below. And then I tied that together with this pattern paper collection from Simple Stories. I thought they went really well, and I believe when Jody designed these sequins, she actually did design them to go with this Simple Stories collection. And I love the way that I was able to use the combination of the digital die cuts with this particular story that I wanted to share. So originally I was just going to use these the LOL and the OMG as they were, and just have the colors on that pattern paper, on the cardstock. The problem is that I felt like I had a lot of white and not a lot of pattern on the background. And so I ended up going back to my silhouette and cutting out the outlines of OMG and LOL just to add a little bit more color. I also needed to back the conversation in order to not just have that streak of white go all the way across the page there. So you can see I put that black, which just pops the conversation behind the messenger window that I screenshot. And then later in the video, I will go and actually add that pink to tie together that pink bubble across to the conversation over there. So that's just me backing those words as I had mentioned. And I sped through this a little bit because it's just literally me sticking glue on that. So Spiegelmom Scraps has a lot of digital die cut files. They are free to download, and they cut really well. You just have to trace them because they're PNG files. You cannot put silhouette files, and not everybody needs silhouette files either. So that is the bulk of the pieces that are going to go on this layout. I'm then just going to use some of the embellishments, the stickers, to add a little bit more fun to this layout. And I needed to arrange, see again, I struggle with having that white by the white messenger conversation by the white shaker box, because it really is a big blob of white, so to speak. And so to draw that pink down to the white next to Simone's bubble, I am going to actually back that black with pink, which just adds a little pop of color there. So that is the main components to this particular layout. Spiegel Mom Scrap Sequence in a giant shaker pocket, and now I'm going to just add a little bit of extra color and fun to this layout. I love those giant emoji stickers, and was glad that I was able to create a way to be able to use some of those. Before I can really embellish the layout, I've got to get all of this stuff down. I've committed to the placement of it, and sometimes when you've layered layouts like this, it's hard to remember that you also have to glue them down in that reverse order as well. So you can see where another sequence just fell out, and I used a Martha Stewart glue pen. It was easy to just slide that in that space in there and keep that secure so that the sequence doesn't shake out everywhere. And I did overlap these sayings over the speech bubbles. So again, there's those main components. And I like the way that the OMG and the LOL move along that same diagonal on the page. So I have the stickers from the collection from Simple Stories, and I'm just using them to punctuate all the different bits of the layout. And I like the black stickers. I ended up using mostly black stickers in this because it also pulls more weight to the page in certain areas of the layout here. And I like that black up there because it ties the whole page together. And there is an awful lot of white there, so by putting that sticker that says really, I was able to sort of soften that white space per se. And then I'm just going to put, I felt like I left a lot of space. The layout sort of shifted in the gluing down process up to the top of the page. So by putting some stickers down below the OMG and down below Simone's photo, I was able to fill that empty space, or not fill it, but put something of substance in that space that allows you to sort of not be distracted by that empty space. So that is the bulk of the layout that I've created for Spiegel Mom Scraps for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how you can stamp and create a shaker pocket at the same time. The close-ups are coming. Again, if you use Suzanna 15, you can get 15% off at the store, and there are some great new collections. Thanks for stopping in today. Take care.